Hi, I'm Carrie. When most people think of the American Revolution, the Declaration of Independence usually comes to mind. But do people often wonder, how did the colonists get to this point? How did they shift from being unhappy British subjects to seeing themselves as a separate group of people that deserve their own country? This change can be traced to the persuasive approaches of Thomas Paine and Thomas Jefferson. Paine encouraged a mental break from Britain using the idea of common sense, while Jefferson provided a legal and philosophical argument that was based on natural rights. First, let's look at Thomas Paine's Common Sense. Published in January of 1776, it was not just a political argument, but a psychological tool. Paine used the term common sense to attack the prevailing loyalty the colonists had to Britain. He argued that complex reasoning was merely means of manipulation. He famously proclaimed that simplicity and plainness were equated with indisputable truth. Paine positioned himself not as an outsider, but as one of the crowd, articulating the collective experience of ordinary Americans. According to historian Sophia Rosenfeld, Paine harnessed a populist rhetoric, which allowed the colonists to divest himself of prejudice and prepossession against the idea of independence. According to historian Jack Fruchtman Jr., I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, Paine believed that the breakdown of the colonial relationship was the result of Britain violating natural order. He convinced his readers that independence was not just a political choice, but a natural necessity. Paine argued that a legitimate government was not inherited just for the sake of having historical continuity, but rather it needed to emerge from the present situation. Now, compare this to Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence. While Paine was trying to change minds on the street, Jefferson was speaking to a worldwide audience. As historian David Armitage argues, the Declaration of Independence was not intended to be a domestic legal document, but rather a performative act designed to establish the United States as a sovereign nation on the international stage. Jefferson framed the argument for a new nationality through the language of natural law, asserting that the colonies had the right to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, and establish commerce. By doing so, Jefferson transformed the colonies from rebels to a sovereign state in international law. Jefferson did not claim so much as to create a new nation of people, but he was declaring that one already existed, and it was grounded in natural law rather than the acts of a revolution alone. When we look at the historiography of these two documents, we see that they serve two different purposes. Paine's Common Sense redefined American identity by creating a new democratic nationality, transforming a colonial dispute into a fight against the monarchy itself. The Declaration of Independence, meanwhile, has been interpreted in various ways. As Armitage notes, it began as a document for international relations, but gradually became assimilated into the American national mythology as a sort of American scripture. Ultimately, while both our authors argued for independence, Paine convinced Americans why they should be a new nation, and Jefferson proclaimed that they were one. Thank you very much.